Welcome to the MMA Fan Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Stu and Blake.
Hello and welcome to the MMA Fan Show. I'm Stu Whiffin. Joining me, as always, is Mr. Blake Harrison. Very good morning to you, mate. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you doing? How are you coping with the heat?
I'm staying out of it as much as I can, purely...
What, like it's about to kick off. I'm just staying out of it, mate. I ain't getting involved in that heat.
I ain't getting involved,
Nothing doing me. Staying out of it.
I ain't getting involved in that aggro. No, because I don't want to get any more orange to make you look any paler, because the colour scale on this podcast, it's ridiculous, because the lighting in this room makes me look more orange, and I'm sure the lighting in your room makes you look paler than you are, because when we're in the studio and we're together, I don't think there's that many shades of suntan between us, but yeah, when you look at this right now, it's ridiculous. I don't need any more sun on my skin.
I'm sure. My bedroom is so hot at night.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
crazy.
Hello.
Like we are. Oh yeah. It is not in a good way.
Yeah.
It's just a sweatbox in there.
Yeah.
Lads. No, I can't sleep, mate. It is a real struggle to sleep. I think I might try sleeping downstairs tonight in the living room.
Wow.
That's the exciting news for all you MMA fan podcast fans out there, is that Blake Harrison might sleep in the living room tonight because it's too hot in his bedroom.
If anybody
these
else,
are the gems that you come here for.
absolutely,
to listen to.
Should you wish for any more life coaching advice from Blake Harrison, courses are available online. Right, look, we are here.
Heat with Harrison. How to cope with the heat. Harrison's heat wave.
Hot stuff with Blake.
Hot stuff.
Like that.
Put ice cubes in front of your fan and the air will blow slightly cooler.
That's sound advice, that.
There you go, yeah.
Right, well, look, before we talk about everything that went down, and plenty went down at UFC 317, we need to talk about...
Fat Candy.
There we go. Official jingle of Fat Candy, that. Freeze-dried sweeties that sponsor this show. Go get involved. Head over to Fat Candy on Instagram, TikTok, or just go and hit up their website. Go and have a look at all the little sweetie treats and treat yourself to some. And just in your little basket as you're about to leave, drop in the discount code, Blake.
Sweet MMA. That's SWEET MMA.
Gosh, and that will save you some pennies. Anyway, shall we get on to all the action from Saturday evening?
Mate, what a card. I thought it was a fantastic card. I thought it was one of the best cards we've had in a while. What did you think of it?
I've got a little note here. Let me just pull my my notes up. Where was it? Was this arguably the best pay-per-view of the year?
I mean, my problem is I don't remember them. I'm
exactly the
they
same.
Happen and if you said to me, what was the pay-per-view in January, I'd go, I don't know. Was it Drickus?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it was Drickus. I don't know. But basically, that's like my. If someone says to me, "Oh, here's was all the cards," I could go, "Oh, yes, it was the best one." I can't bloody remember them, mate. There's too much content. We watch the UFC pretty much every week. What do they do? Like 40 odd shows a year out of 52 weeks. 40 odd shows. It's hard to just like. It's like you watch it. You write your notes, we come on here and do the podcast a day or two later or whatever it is, and then my brain just presses delete. And it's just like, right, and someone goes, oh, but what about, 312? I'm like, what happened there then? I don't know. I can't remember. So yeah, if someone says to me, oh yeah, it was Drickus v Strickland or whatever, I can tell you, it probably wasn't the best card or whatever it was. But yeah, I remember like individual fights. If you tell me, oh, what about Alan v Movzar? What happened in that? I can tell you that Alan was screwed over or whatever. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, so I don't know, but I would say it probably is because I've come away from it with a real excitement that I don't feel like I've had for a while. So just basing it off of like a pure emotional reaction, I would say, yes, this feels like the card of the year so far. I mean, let's just start at the top of just like Ilia Topuria and just I don't know if we're getting carried away here. I see it. I've listened to other people talk about it and stuff, and I'm just like, I don't want to get too carried away, but there's people talking about him being pound for pound number one. There's people talking about of the very obvious, and we've made them on this show previously, comparisons to Conor McGregor. I went off on a big rant a few episodes ago about how he's matched that thing where like lots of fighters trash talk, lots of fighters have self-belief, but he has more than belief. He has like a knowing. It's like it's preordained. He knows it, and that's what Conor had, and it makes you believe it as well.
He celebrated the night before.
That's crazy, isn't it? He celebrated the victory the night before the Volkanovski fight. He changed his Instagram to like UFC champion and 14-0 or whatever it was. This man is just something different. And the only thing we can liken it to, in my opinion, is Conor. That's the only time where I've watched a fighter be so unbelievably confident in their own abilities that it makes you wholeheartedly believe them and just go, yeah, he is going to do it. I mean, what the kids say now is it was so cold. It was one of the coldest things you would ever see is Ilia Topuria going face to face with Charles Oliveira and just saying, I'm sorry, I didn't want it to be you. That's just, it gives me chills. It gives me chills. It's unreal. Just like, I'm sorry I didn't want it to be you. He's like a Bond villain.
Yeah.
It's just insane. This man is just something so special. We are witnessing something so special. And what I have hoped for and what makes me even more excited is the parallels are there with Conor. You've got the tattoos, 28 years old, double champion, a guy that predicts his finishes and makes them happen. And Topuria is now at that stage where Conor was when he beat Eddie Alvarez.
Right.
And Conor then went to fight Mayweather. And then for me, the wheels just fell off. He made too much money. Yes, he came back, but it was never the same. Blah, blah, blah. Ilia seems way more disciplined. He seems way more together. He seems, dare I say it, maybe a nicer human being.
Oh, my God. I think most people would agree with that.
So, at least so far, and it just makes you go, are we going to see what we maybe could have seen if Conor had stuck with MMA or maybe had the right people around him and stuff like that? And I'm excited about this.
Before we move forward and, consider that, I want to sort of take it back to the point that you're making. Given knockouts over Volk, Holloway, and now Oliveira, is this the most impressive multi-division run in the UFC history book so far?
Multi-division. So you're talking about only the people that have won double belts?
Well, I don't know. No, him over the... Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Well, let's think. Conor, before Aldo, Conor fought like Dennis Seaver. Then he fought Aldo. Then he fought Eddie. And I think the Aldo win is phenomenal because Aldo was 9 years champion. He was heads and shoulders above everyone else. And then Conor came along, knocked him out in 13 seconds. Dennis Seaver before that was, with all due respect to Dennis Seaver, he's not a fighter that people are going to remember other than getting beat by Conor. And Eddie Alvarez, underground king, great champion in multiple organizations, but it's not the same as what Ilia has done. I mean, you look at Daniel Cormier. Obviously, he had the losses to John, but then he was only light heavyweight champion because John had so many issues privately and personally. So you can't really compare that. And then he beat Stipe and then lost Stipe. Amanda Nunes, I would have to look her up, but I don't think the names... I mean, she beat Ronda in one of her defenses, but Ronda had already been beaten by that point. But I don't know. Who did Nunes beat? Nunes beat Misha Tate. Then I think she beat Ronda Rousey, and then it's whoever
Holly?
she beat after that. Maybe she beat Holly Holm. That's a good run, you know.
Yeah.
But it's not. And then Cyborg. The Cyborg fight is massive.
That's a good show.
So, but you're saying 3-fight run. I'm gonna have to. You might have to talk for me while I just put on into Tapology Amanda Nunes and just look at that run. But who else was there that's two-weight champion? Henry Cejudo obviously beat Demetrius Johnson, but then he beat Marlon Moraes for the vacant bantamweight belt. Here's me talking about my bad memory, and yet I think I'm doing all right here at the moment. But so you can't include Cejudo in that. Who's the other two-weight champion?
Trying to think who else we got.
Cormier, Nunes, Connor,
Henry,
and Cejudo. Is that it? Is it just 4?
I think so.
People might be shouting at their phones
Yeah.
right now. You forgot this one. So yeah. Oh, well, I tell you what looks good. So Amanda Nunes, granted, right before to get her title shot, beats Valentina Shevchenko at bantamweight. Misha Tate, Ronda Rousey, Valentina Shevchenko again. Then Raquel Pennington, sure, and then up to fight Cyborg, beat her, and then Holly Holm.
I mean, that's the biggest names in female, MMA. She wiped the lot out.
That's pretty good, isn't it? I mean, you can put in the thing of like, well, Tate isn't seen as a great. She's seen as a great, but she's not seen as like the best of the best. Like she couldn't get past Rousey. She was losing to Holm until she beat Holm.
I mean, she was a former champ.
She was a former champ. You're absolutely right. But when we talk about Ilia Topuria, and Shevchenko up at bantamweight was not Shevchenko at flyweight. Raquel Pennington, nah. But Chris Cyborg is such a good win. Such an unbelievable win. You can definitely make the argument that Amanda Nunes' run there is pretty unbelievable, especially with a Holly Holm title defense as well. Yeah, that is pretty impressive, isn't it, Amanda Nunes? But when you look at Topuria and you go knockout of Alexander Volk, again, not decisions, knockout. Granted, actually, Amanda Nunes is like she finished Tate in the first round, finished Ronda in the first round, split decision Valentina Shevchenko, finished Pennington, finished Cyborg in the first round, finished Holly Holm in the first round. It's
a good
she's
argument.
the GOAT for a reason. Good luck, Kayla Harrison.
Well, look,
let's just solidify this though. Ilia Topuria, the Volk knockout. Oh my God. Like, I know Volk was knocked out by Islam. But yeah, I mean, he was knocked out by Islam. It does take a little bit of the shine off it for me. But to beat him at featherweight like he did, Volk hadn't been beaten at featherweight at that point, I don't think. To knock out Max. Max has losses. Max has losses to Dustin Poirier. Up at lightweight, he had losses to Connor. He had lost to Dustin at featherweight as well, actually, and he's lost to Volk 3 times by this point. But to knock Max out, Max was, never been knocked out, to knock him out, and then to do to Charles Oliveira what he did. And don't get me wrong, Ilia Topuria was the favourite, I think, going into the Charles Oliveira fight. But to knock him out in the first round so easily. Oh, I mean, look, there's arguments to be had. I think you could say that if you wanted to say Amanda Nunes' run was better than Ilia Topuria's, I'm not going to argue with you. Previously, again, you're talking about 2-weight runs. I'm not including Jones in the 2-weight aspect of it, but we looked at John Jones's run of like Shogun Hura on short notice, and then it was like Lyoto Machida and Rampage Jackson and Rashad Evans. I mean, these are legends of the game. But, I mean, Alexander Volkanovski, for a lot of people, is seen as the greatest featherweight of all time. Max, I mean, I think you maybe have to give it to Aldo just because 9 years as champion was so amazing and dominant. But there's an argument for Volk. Max beat Aldo, so you could argue he's second best, but I do think Aldo's probably the greatest featherweight of all time. But those 2 wins, and then Charles Oliveira, who's one of the best lightweights of all time. No, he's not Khabib. And no, he's not Islam, and you could argue BJ Penn as well. But Oliveira is one of the most exciting champions we've had, and he's a fantastic, phenomenal fighter. And do you know the other thing that's so crazy about that knockout is I just written down in my notes, Ilia's looking a bit small. And then boom, boom. And it was literally like I'd finished typing it. I think I've got written on my notes, I had just typed this. Oh my God. I was thinking he looked a little small, and then bang is what I wrote down. I just thought, there's a big size difference, isn't there? Nope. The timing, the accuracy, the power. And it didn't even look like he threw everything into that strike. It was just technique. It was just a straight right. And the straight right knocked him out. He was out when the left hook landed. You don't see people do that to Charles Oliveira. This guy is so special. I feel like I could just ramble on for days about how special he is.
I think we should say, like, looking forwards now, like, I mean, there's a lot of people that could potentially be in line for this, you know. Obviously, we'd love to see Makhachev fight Ilia. But
there's only one.
Well,
there is only one, Stu Whiffen.
I don't think that's going to happen. And so there's Pimlet, there's Sarukian, and there's Gaethje. I don't think it's Paddy. I don't think it's going to happen.
What? They brought him into the cage.
No, but did you see Dana's response to that?
Yeah, but only because he was saying that, like, his kids were and wife were in the octagon, and
have you seen the footage of Drickus talking to people that's come out today?
No, I haven't.
So
I just need to charge my computer before it goes off. Carry on.
There's a video of Drickus talking to some people, and he basically says, UFC, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's Pimlet Gaethje. So there's
He doesn't know.
I don't know. I'm just saying. Seeing Dana's response to that, like, I was like, ooh.
It's not like Drickus' training partners with Gaethje or Pimblett. Mm-hmm. So how would he know that?
I don't know. I'm just throwing out what I see this morning, mate. Like, of course I want to see him fight Paddy. I don't. If
Drickus said jump off a cliff, would you do that as well, Whiffen? Do you believe that, would you?
No, I see what you're saying. But look, I don't get me wrong. When he pulled Paddy in there, I was like, oh, yes, this is fucking great. I'm all over this. I know Paddy's got all the confidence on the planet. Do you?
I think it's happening, man. I think as soon as they brought... I was watching it and I was going, right, you got Arman, you got Justin Gaethje, you got Paddy Pimblett. Which way are they going to go? Now, because I recorded it and watched it in the morning, there was it was probably on at like 5-something a.m. So they bleep out all the swearing. So Topuria's post-fight chat in the cage, I didn't get to hear a lot of it because they were kind of like turning the sound down on it. But it sounded to me like he went over and mentioned Paddy and mentioned Arman. It seemed like he mentioned both of them to me. Maybe I'm wrong, so I couldn't quite hear it properly. But then Rogan was just like, yeah, let's get Paddy in. It's just like, fucking hell, it's happening. I remember we shout out to Shamrock because we had Shamrock on this show and he was like, Paddy gets
who's now in the UFC
next.
As well. Congratulations.
Who's now in the UFC. Good luck, Shamrock, in the UFC. But we need to maybe pull that clip up of Shamrock saying, no, I think Paddy gets the title shot next. And I can't remember exactly what I said, but I'm thinking to myself, like, I think he maybe needs one more. I think he needs a Gaethje or an Oliveira or something like that. But now I'm like, nah, you just give it to him. Because the UFC dropped the ball on Islam Ilia, at least for now. I mean, you could argue that this might actually work out better for everyone involved. If Islam gets the welterweight belt and both Islam and Topuria put on a couple of title defenses and then somehow come together for a pound for pound, 165 pound, catch weight, just super fight. Oh my God, that would be insane. I would love that so much.
Could that go under the guise of a BMF?
Nah, it's like, no, it's like pound for pound. It's more prestigious than BMF. These guys are too good for BMF. And I just think, I've lost my train of thought, but I think that that fight with Islam, the ball has been dropped on that for now. Obviously, Jones Aspinall, I just don't think that's ever going to happen. You've got Paddy in the cage, rightly or wrongly. People are loving it. People want to see it. They don't like each other. As soon as Ilia pushed him, I was like, that's it. It's happening now. It's one thing to get him in the cage, which you're like, it's probably going to happen. As soon as Ilia pushed him, and it was a real weird, like, T-Rex arm push.
Well, he had both his belts over his shoulders, didn't he?
But it still looks funny. He's got both the belts. Like, I don't want to drop my belts, but I'll just give you a little push. Yeah, it was a little T-Rex arm push. But I'm all for it. I think as soon as that happened, I think you're like, that's it. Signed, sealed, delivered. Paddy versus Ilia. It's not meritocratically necessarily what would happen. Arman could be the best lightweight in the world, and he definitely deserves his shot at the belt, but we know that there was that issue where he got injured a few hours before his fight with Islam, and the UFC are not forgiving. Justin Gaethje is only on a one-fight win streak after getting knocked out by Max Holloway, and that was against Fiziev, a guy that he's already beaten. Yes, it was a great win, and yes, I love Justin Gaethje, and I'd be interested in seeing him fight Topuria, but I think that Arman is probably the one that deserves it the most, but Paddy is the fight. That is the exciting one. That is the build-up. That honestly, that is the fight that you just go, Ilia Topuria right now is one of the biggest stars in the UFC. Maybe he's the biggest. I don't know. Apparently his Instagram following is now the highest Instagram following of any active UFC fighter. So obviously we're not including Jones and Conor in that because active UFC fighter. But I think he's surpassed Islam Makhachev on Instagram followers and stuff like that. It's huge. This guy's
he's
huge.
way more. I mean, let's look at that, right? Because as fighters go, he's way more exciting than Islam Makhachev. Way more exciting.
Islam is good. Islam does get finishes.
Exciting. Right? If you ask most people, who do they want to watch? Do they want to watch Ilia or do they want to watch Islam? I'm telling you, people will want to watch Ilia Topuria. Yeah. Look what he's doing. Look what he's doing to people, and he's making it look easy, and he's giving them big knockouts, which is what the fans want. And I think to then put Paddy in the mix there. I mean, Paddy has been pretty lucky in his rise, in the UFC. I mean, look, I'm taking nothing away from his wins, and Paddy, I'm a big fan of. He's been very great to us at the show over the years. But he's beaten Michael Chandler and Tony Ferguson, and who's the other? Who else has he fought? What's his name? Tied him up. Bobby Green, King Green. When you look at Sarukian and you look at Gaethje and their caliber of competition that they've fought, I know they've been in the UFC longer than Paddy, but like you can see. For me, why can you see why I think Paddy's maybe had a pretty decent journey to now finds himself in the octagon with the champ? I think a lot of that is based on Paddy's star power. The incident at Media Day where hand sanitizer boy and all of that. I think the narrative's built nicely, and Paddy's done nothing wrong. He's won in really good fashion in his last sort of 3 fights. And I think it's the super fight to make because he's so famous, Paddy, as well. And a lot of people don't like him as well. So I think it's like... And I think a lot of people don't like Topuria based purely on the fact that he's knocking out all your favourite fighters, like, brutally.
It's true. It's true.
3 most likeable fighters in the UFC. Charles, Volk, and Max. And he starched them all. And it's like... Yeah. Oh shit! Like you know, you're absolutely right. I do think Paddy is on a long win streak though. Like it's not like you're just plucking him from obscurity. And I'm not
going,
saying that.
Just give
I'm
Paddy
just comparing his competition to the Gaethjes and the Sarukians.
Yes, but as you said, Sarukian sort of had a chance. I do think if our job is to go, which fighter is the biggest test for Ilia Topuria in that weight class, I would say the biggest test is Arman Tsarukyan. But if you're saying, what's the fight that makes the most money? engages the most fans, gets the most clicks on websites and social medias and all that stuff. It is head and shoulders, hands down, no questions asked, Paddy Pimblett. And the other thing is, Paddy looked massive compared to him. I know Paddy hadn't been cutting weight. Paddy looked massive compared to him. You never know, man. Maybe Scousers can't get knocked out. I mean, I think if you get clipped by Topuria, you are in trouble. I don't care who you are. But maybe Scousers can't get knocked out. And if Paddy's still there, he takes some blows. And then if it does go to the ground, we know Paddy's got great jiu-jitsu, but Ilia's got such great wrestling as well. It's so good. I want to see all of it. Here's the thing. I am here for the Ilia Topuria run for as long as it lasts. If Ilia goes out there and beats Paddy, I'm like, give me Arman. If he beats Arman, I'm like, give me Gaethje. If he beats Gaethje, then I'm like, there's nothing left now. Go and fight Islam Makhachev. And if he can get Islam earlier, great too. But right now, if you're building a superstar, then, and let's not discredit Paddy, you never know. But I think if you get Ilia Topuria versus Paddy Pimblett on a great card, maybe either at the end of the year or start of next year, I think the winner of that fight is possibly the biggest star in the UFC. And that's even if it's Paddy. If Paddy Pimblett beats Ilia Topuria with the fandom he's got, the following he's got, the charisma that he's got, Paddy Pimblett, and a fun fight style as well, Paddy Pimblett becomes the biggest star in the UFC.
Again, Paddy's got a belt around his waist.
Including Jones and
100% agree. 100% agree.
Yeah.
Like, couldn't disagree with that. Well, look, we've been getting overexcited about Ilia for half the show already. So,
well, here's one more thing. I feel like there are other players in this game. What do you do? Because I've got a theory. What do you do with Arman Tsarukyan and Justin Gaethje if Paddy gets the shot, which I think he does? Do they fight each other for a number one contender fight?
I guess that's pretty much all that's there, isn't there?
If I'm Justin Gaethje,
have you got a Mavericks take on this?
Not a Maverick take. I'm just saying, if I'm Justin Gaethje and his team, I am avoiding Arman Tsarukyan at all costs, and I'm trying to rebook the Dan Hooker fight. Because the Dan Hooker fight is the one that the fans, again, really, really want to see. And if Justin Gaethje beats Dan Hooker, I think he leapfrogs Arman Tsarukyan and is the number one guy. But if he fights Arman Tsarukyan, I think that's trouble for Justin Gaethje. So if I'm Justin and his team, I know Justin's been on interviews and stuff recently saying, if I don't fight for the belt, I retire, which Dana White couldn't care less, it seems, when Dana White was in a post-fight interview and he was like, well, if he wants to retire, just retire. So I don't think Dana White seems to care. So if I'm Justin Gaethje, you have to swallow a little bit of pride and you go, my way to Ilia is a really hard road through Arman Tsarukyan, or still a tough road, but a fan-friendly, fantastic, amazing fight with Dan Hooker. I'm going to take that road and I'm going to do that. Where that leaves Arman Tsarukyan, I do not know. Maybe Arman Tsarukyan has got a rematch Gamrot or something, which is not fair on Arman Tsarukyan, but it's not a meritocratic business, I'm afraid. It is a business. And Paddy's the one that's going to be pulling in the money. And if you're Gaethje and you want that title shot, I'd be looking at Dan Hooker.
Absolutely. Just want to jump in now before we move forward. If you're watching this and there's any sort of glitches and stickiness of the cameras, we're trying to sort it out at the moment because we've not been in the studio for a while and we're doing these remotely. Sometimes it gets a little bit sticky, and we've been going through all of our PCs trying to make sure that everything is as fully functional as possible. And it appears to be before we start, but we still get these little glitches. So do bear with us. We are sorting this out. Okay.
Funnily enough, you went a bit glitchy just before that, and your internet thing here was red and now it's yellow, and I don't really know what that all means.
Right.
So
Alexandre Pantoja versus Kara France co-main. I mean, I don't know what to say about this because he just looked fantastic. Like he just like, you know, anybody that thinks, in them weight divisions, age, is so important, and that seems to be bypassing Pantoja because he's looking better and better. And he just... Kai France, unfortunately, I'm a fan of Kai. He didn't know what to do. He just couldn't seem to get anything flowing. He seemed to just be on the back foot constantly. And I think, he likes to come forward and strike. And I think Pantoja just absolutely dominated him.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe everyone needs to put a little bit more respect on Pantoja's name now, man. I mean, he was talking about this in the post-fight about where he's positioned in the pound-for-pound rankings, and I think we should have a chat about pound-for-pound. But prior to this fight, he was 9th in the pound-for-pound rankings.
That's piss poor.
It's terrible, isn't it, really, considering what he's done. Like, let's just have a look. Now, I don't know exactly how to order this, so I've got a few things that are slightly linked, but Joe Rogan said Pantoja is up there with Demetrius Johnson. I don't think that's true. I don't think you can say Pantoja is up there with Demetrius Johnson. But here's where it gets a little bit sticky, but for me, I still don't think it's right. So Alejandro Pantoja on Saturday night broke all sorts of records. He is now has the most wins at flyweight. I believe it's 13. And he has the most finishes at flyweight with 8. So he's going to have all the records. He only needs a couple more wins, and he's far and away he's probably, to me, I think he's the second best flyweight of all time now. But the thing that makes Demetrius Johnson, to me, still the number one is he's got 11 title defenses. 11 title defenses. And we've spoken a little bit on this show before about it's one thing moving up in weight and fighting people and getting belts. Obviously, that's tough. You're moving up. Weight matters, all that kind of size matters, all that kind of stuff. But to be the king, the champion, whatever it is, and to have people coming for you time and time and time again, and you're defending. And it gets
11
to a point where
times.
And it gets to a point where you've defended for so long that people have been preparing for you for years. That's what Conor and Aldo was. Aldo was the champion for 9 years. And so Conor McGregor, when he was thinking about becoming a champion, was thinking about fighting Jose Aldo 3 or 4 years before he ever got in the cage with him. You're watching him, you're preparing for him, you're thinking, what would I do against Aldo as an up-and-coming fighter? That's what people were doing against Demetrius Johnson. And he still defended the belt 11 times. And for me, that's what makes you the greatest. That I don't think that to do it at that level for that long. And let's also throw in the fact that the fight where he lost his belt against Henry Cejudo, it's a very close fight, and you could easily score that for Demetrius Johnson. I think I did score that for Demetrius Johnson. So in my head, if the judges were slightly different, he never would have lost his belt anyway. And the only reason he didn't get the chance to win his belt back and have a trilogy with Cejudo, who he'd already beaten previously, was because the UFC traded him to one championship. So, by the way, while we're on that, obviously Ben Askren, the guy who was traded with Demetrius Johnson, loads of horrible health issues recently, was in a coma for a long time, but it sounds like going from his partner's Instagram page, she put up a thing that he is receiving a double lung transplant. So obviously really horrible times. Hopefully now that the surgery is going to happen, that gets better and everything. But yeah, terrible times recently for Ben Askren, but hopefully now that the surgery is going to happen, he's going to be out of that coma and back to, some form of good health, hopefully. But yeah, just wanted to digress onto that because obviously we're mentioning a situation that it did involve Ben Askren, and we haven't mentioned on this show all of his health issues. So lots of love to him and his family. I hope he gets as best a recovery as you can. I mean, a double lung transplant very soon. But back to Demetrius Johnson. I mean, that's why I think he's still, to me, seen as the best. He didn't get the chance to win his belt back in a fight that you could argue he never lost his belt anyway. So, yeah. So that to me is the DJ thing. But back to Pantoja. Where do you think he should be on the pound-for-pound list then? Because at the moment, he's ninth unless they've already changed it, which I imagine they will do. By the time this comes out, it will be different. But before the Kai fight, he was ninth in the pound for pound, which means he's behind Jack Della. He's behind, I'm assuming, like Tom Aspinall or something. Like he's behind Drickus. He's behind. Oh, they've amended it. They have amended it. So again, before this fight, he was ninth. He's currently fifth. So as it stands, oh my God, as it stands, the UFC pound for pound rankings has Ilia Topuria number 1. That's a talking point.
What? Because I've got it in front of me. Nice. I've got Makhachev at number 1.
Nope. UFC website.
I'm on the UFC app, and it's got pound for pound.
The app. You need to update your app, mate. Update your software, because I'm online, and the pound for pound is Ilia Topuria number 1, Islam Makhachev number 2, Merab Dvalishvili number 3, Drickus du Plessis number 4, Alejandro Pantoja number 5, Volkanovski 6, and then we can go down from there, but there's no point. I wonder if should Pantoja be above Drickus? I do think it's great that he's moved up so many spots. I mean, he was 9th, which is not right. Pantoja, 4 title defenses now, and he's just running through. He's lapping the division. He beat Kai Kara France on The Ultimate Fighter. He's beat him against now. He's beat Moreno 2 or 3 times. He's beat Royval 2 or 3 times. So, yeah, I wonder if he should be above Drickus, you know.
I'd put him there.
But do you think Ilia Topuria should be number 1 over Islam Makhachev?
Not mad at that. Not mad at that.
I don't know, man. Makhachev's been champ for so long, but then Ilia, as we said, he's got those wins, the Volk, the Max, then Oliveira, and he's moved up in weight. If Islam beats Jack Della, Islam goes back to number 1, right? You think, yeah?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Again, this could be... So at the moment, I'm thinking to myself, how amazing could it be? It's like every time Ilia fights and wins, he goes to number 1 pound for pound. Every time Islam fights and wins, he goes to number 1 pound for pound. And they just keep swapping between them. And eventually you have to do the fight. Eventually you have to go, enough is enough. They have to fight each other. And as much as I'm disappointed we didn't get Islam versus Ilia, I actually wonder if it's going to be a way bigger fight. If these guys, if Islam beats Jack Della and becomes champ, and both of them defend their belts at least once, if not twice, surely you've got to go, guys, come on now. We have to make this fight. And even if you don't have Ilia going up in weight, even if Islam doesn't want to make the cut to 155, just do catch weight. 165, 162, whatever it is, catch weight bout. Pound for pound, best in the world. And you can market it as the best fight the UFC has ever made. I think you could market it as that. Ilia, Islam, both move up in weight, both get a title defense or 2, and then fight each other at catch weight. Oh my God, it'd just be so good. I think it'd be an absolutely historic moment. It'd be incredible.
100%. Well, look, to sort of move on, but almost, I guess, stay in line with what's next for Pantoja. We saw something very special between Josh Van and Brandon Royval. I mean, if you want to watch a cracking fight, go and watch that. I mean, I thought it was fantastic. And Josh Van literally fought, 3 weeks previously?
Yes, 3 weeks previously.
Takes on the number 1 ranked fighter in Brandon Royval. And taking nothing away from Royval, I thought he looked fantastic as well. But what a fight to fight for that title shot. And I
Can I just...
you're not happy about this fight or something?
No, mate. I just want to point out the fact that in the preview show, I said that this was going to be fight of the night.
Yeah.
And the only thing I was wrong about is I should have said fight of the year. So thank you very much. That's another check in the Blake box. Thank you. Yes, thank you for the applause.
Fantastic.
I told you this would be fight of the night, and it was. I genuinely, at the moment, I think it probably is front runner for fight of the year. I know there was a great fight on the prelims last week that I still haven't seen. Sadikov versus, I want to say Motta or something. I'm not sure, but this had higher stakes. This was on a bigger stage. Yeah, I at the moment, I think this is fight of the year for me. This was phenomenal.
Do you think Josh Fan, coming off of such a good fight, do you think seeing his kind of fast? I mean, I think has he been doing mixed martial arts 4 years or something like that? It's crazy.
He's had a quick
turnaround. So,
turnaround.
do you think that fight and him single-handedly could potentially save a division that doesn't get the most attention, that does still have Pantoja badly ranked in the pound for pound?
I know. I think that the flyweight division has been in a much better place ever since the Moreno-Figgy tetralogy. I think that really boosted the division. I think once Demetrius Johnson left, for all of his dominance and how great he is, and I think you can definitely make an argument that he is the GOAT of MMA, it was too dominant. And it was not the most exciting for people, to the point where the UFC were thinking of getting rid of the flyweight division. Then all of a sudden, you got Figgy, you got Moreno, and all of a sudden, that four fight streak between those two was so exciting and captivating, and that reignited the flyweight spark. And it's just grown from there. And all of a sudden, we've gone from having the belt swapping hands between Moreno and Figueiredo, and having close fights with Royval coming in and stuff like that. All of a sudden, Pantoja has just come through and gone, no, I'm the guy. And now he is putting on such dominance as well. But maybe he's got foils and fighters that he's going up against that are more captivating, or it's a division that people respect a bit more now. I know what we're saying about flyweights being disrespected, especially with Pantoja being like 9th in the pound for pound last week. But I think people are, particularly proper MMA fans, have been aware for a while that flyweight is in a fantastic place. And let's not forget as well, you got some other young guys coming through. You got Tatsuro Taira, who I know came up short against Royval, but he's still very young. Lonnie Kavanagh could be a great shout for, someone fighting for a belt in the next 3 years or so.
I think they're going to strap a rocket to him.
Yeah, well, let's see. I mean, at the moment, we're getting some really exciting fights at flyweight. Flyweight is one of the most exciting divisions in the sport.
My point was,
and Josh Van he embodies that massively.
Yeah, and my point was, like you said, for hardcore MMA fans, like, we love that division, okay? But I think for the casuals, I think the Royval Josh Van fight, people will want to go and see both of them fights. Whoever they're fighting next, obviously we know Josh Van's fighting, but I think that they're going to get like, they're going, oh, that's that guy that was in that fight. Like, can't wait to see him fight again. Yeah. I think it does do some good for the division.
Maybe. It can't hurt the division. I think we've already had that moment with Figueiredo and Moreno, where they had those fights that everyone went, whoa, this is great, and it's flyweight. So I think maybe it's just another one of those, maybe. So it just keeps the train rolling along. But I mean, the fight itself, how did you score it? Because I have to say, I was about to score it 29-28 for Royval until the last few seconds when Van got that knockdown.
Yeah, I'm completely agree with
that. I mean,
that.
if you're Brandon Royval, are you waking up Sunday morning going, why didn't I shoot one takedown? Because we've not seen Van's takedown defense really tested. Van is basically, in his UFC career that I've seen so far, he's basically just a fantastic boxer. He kicks a bit, but he's a fantastic boxer with really, strong hands. So, I don't know if you're Royval. I think you've missed a trick there. I think you should have tested the grappling. And I'll tell you one guy who will test his grappling, Alejandro Pantoja. So I do think Josh Van has got to buy some really good wrestling shoes and just wear them out over the next however many months before this title shot, because Pantoja's grappling is something else, man. You've got to keep that fight on the feet. And he's a zombie on the feet as well. It's going to be a great fight. I can see it being a situation where Pantoja just schools him on the ground.
He looks so fired up at the weekend as well. Like I was saying about Pantoja on Saturday, I just thought he looks like he wants to really make a statement today. He almost seemed like just pissed off. Like he just, I just thought, I think this could be a rough night for Kai. What other
I just
fights?
love the fact as well that the UFC did do the thing of like bringing fighters into the cage to build the next fight. To
I
me,
love stuff like that.
That's super exciting. I love it. I'm a big fan of that. I really want to see more of that. This guy's the number one contender. Bring them in. Or the champs in the audience, bring them in to square up with this guy because that's the next fight. Like, let's keep the momentum going. Let's build the excitement. We want to know. I'm not interested in Dana White coming to a press conference and going, matchmaking's on Tuesday. We'll work it out on Tuesday. I'm like, no, mate, just give us it now. We want it now.
Capture the energy of the moment.
Very quickly.
And
Yes. Capture the energy of the moment and just, I mean, I know that maybe there's negatives where like, oh shit, this person, let's just say Paddy gets injured and you're like, oh, now we're actually getting Arman versus Ilia, and people go, oh, that's not as good. And I can understand that, but it's the risk you take, man, because if that fight does happen, it's huge. And people now are so excited for Josh Van versus Pantoja as well. So you got to do it. You got to do it. Dariush Moicano, what did you think of this one?
not a lot.
No?
Nah.
Okay.
Nah,
I thought it was all right.
yeah, it was all right. Like
Benil got knocked down in round one, came back.
Yeah.
Did Benil Dariush things?
I think around the time that Benil was on an absolute tear, I wanted to see him fight Makhachev more than anything. I thought he presented a real problem for him. That fight never happened, and Benil's sort of career since then has been a little bit sort of up and down. And you know, I loved the press leading up to it. Marcano, you know, talking about how he's going bald and he needs money, and it was really making me laugh. Like, you know, he's got good chat. I do think Benil's always going to struggle because he just seems like a nice dude, but he's not the most animated of fighters. You know, you see the media day, like the face-offs, and Marcano comes out in a suit looking cool, and Dariush walks out in an old T-shirt and an old pair of shorts and a pair of sliders, and just looks like, all right, let's get this done and then I can go home. And I think that's fine. If you're just not about that, that's great. But I do think that will hinder your trajectory into people's front rooms, because people want to see more now from fighters. They want to, you know, get a little bit of, you know, bit of fire out of them. And I think Dariush is a fantastic fighter, but I just think I wish he would work on his kind of post fights and, you know, and any kind of sort of media obligations. Wish he would sort of talk himself up a little bit, because I don't think it's done him any favours in his career, like carrying himself the way he has, which he's perfectly fine the way he carries himself. I'm not taking nothing away from him. Seems like a lovely guy. But I think, you know, in a division where you've got people like, you know, Moicano, you need to be heard, because they would just shout over you.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think Dariush is a fantastic fighter. At one point, I really wanted to see him versus Islam, but now it just seems like he's kind of resigned to being a gatekeeper. I mean, he's 36 years old now, and I feel like he had a moment to really try and solidify a title shot. And he did that whole, if the UFC want me to fight 10 more guys, I'll fight 10 more guys. It's like, no, mate, that's not the one. You have to call your shot. And yeah, that's just who he is. And, you know, I love the humble nature of Benil Dariush. He seems like a really lovely bloke.
Yeah.
But it's not going to get you title shots. And he will just come up against people that are that little bit better than him, I think. You know, I don't think Dariush beats an Islam, a Topuria. We saw him lose to Charles Oliveira, an Arman Sarukian, stuff like that. So, yeah, so I think he's resigned to being a sort of top 5 to 10 sort of gatekeeper guy now. And there's no shame in that either. If you're Benil Dariush, you could probably say, I'm like the 5th to 8th best fighter at this weight class, which is arguably the hardest weight class in the whole of the UFC. Like, there's only 8 people in the world that can beat you up in hand-to-hand combat or whatever it is, or less. Like, That's pretty good going, isn't it? I wish I could say that. Wish I could say in my weight class, there's only like 6 people in the world that can beat me up. Otherwise, I kick the shit out of everyone.
Yeah.
I'd love to say that. So there's nothing wrong with it, but it's just, you just feel like it's sort of like he never reached maybe the heights that he could have done had he just had a slight different kind of attitude in terms of how he projects himself in the cage and in interviews and stuff like that. But it is what it is. Lima versus Talbot. I was really impressed with Peyton Talbot coming back.
Don't you start doing it now. Don't you start doing it. What? I do not want to hear Joe Rogan talk about the improvements Peyton Talbot makes 6 times every round. It was so boring. Every time he got took down and he managed and he grappled his way out of it. It was like he'd just undone the fucking Ark in Raiders of the Lost Ark. It was like a revelation. The improvements that guy has made. Peyton Talbot's improvements. It's like, oh, for God's sake, the guy was great. Yes, he got found out in his last fight and he made some tweaks. That's what fighters do. You don't have to... Like, I felt sorry for Lima. Like, I just thought he was looking really good. And I thought Peyton Talbot made some changes. Fantastic. You do not need to highlight every single thing he does, Joe Rogan.
I think you're being harsh.
I think it bored
the whole narrative, he was so badly out-grappled by Oni Barcelos in his first loss. Yeah. You're looking at it and you're just going, the story of this fight is going to be, can Peyton Talbot recover, or is Lima going to take him down and squish him like Barcelos did? And we go, all that hype was for absolutely nothing. He's probably not going to even be in the UFC in a year's time at this rate. And Peyton Talbot has clearly gone away, done the work, been studious, and has come in and showcased a huge improvement in his grappling. And I think it's good to celebrate it and talk about it.
Yeah, it's great
Clearly
that a
you're
mixed
very
martial
upset by
artist,
it.
Mix up his martial arts. Well done. Like,
all right then. Stu Whiffen being very harsh there.
No, I thought he looked really good, but I just don't need to be told it by the commentators every single time he does anything. I thought it was really bad commentary. I thought it was biased, and I just weren't interested in it. It was like, look, we can all see that he's got up from that takedown. Amazing. Like, he's a mixed martial artist. That's great. And it's great. Stop highlighting it all the time. Climb out of his arse.
Are you right with him?
Like,
someone hide your Werther's Originals or something. Like, what is going on, mate?
Let me tell you who weren't all right. Jack Hermansson.
Oh. Yeah, that was a bad
I'm
one,
interested. This is the one I'm quite interested in discussing.
Okay.
Now, right, so a few questions, right, about this. I mean, I'm presuming anybody that's listening to this has seen this knockout, because Gregory Rodriguez, who looks like a He-Man action figure,
he does.
knocked out Jack Hermansson stone cold, and he goes down like an absolute sack of spuds. And all I wanted to see Gregory Rodriguez do was turn around like Mark Hunt and walk away. But before that even, I'd really would have hoped that Herb Dean would have been there, just in case Gregory Rodriguez had other ideas, which he did, which was to literally hammer fist this, a guy that was at cold. A brutal shot to the head that guy did not need. And I know the fighters are there to fight until they're stopped. I think Herb Dean was slow getting there. And I think Gregory Rodriguez seems like a really nice guy. And I'm surprised that he hit him with that shot. I thought he didn't need to. I think... Not that I've been in that position, but I think when a fighter like Gregory Rodriguez, who's knocked a lot of people out, connects the way that he connects and he sees the fighter go down like that, he knows that's done. And I know that, again, to repeat myself, you fight until you're stopped. I just felt that he shouldn't have thrown that shot. What do you think?
Okay, so I have actually gone back and forth on this quite a bit, and I think... I have to shout out former guest of the show, Sean Sheehan, because I listened to a little bit of him chatting about this morning. and it sort of helped me make my mind up on it and how he was talking about it. But I'll just go through what I was thinking, because yes, we have seen moments where Khalil Roundtree comes to mind. I think it was when he knocked out Anthony Smith and he was just standing above him with the hammer fist kind of like cocked, ready to go. And he kind of waited as if to say to the ref, do you need me to throw this? Do you need me to throw this? And the ref stepped in. And if Khalil did what Gregory Rodriguez did, he would have just hit him with that hammer fist. And there's other people, Mark Hunt, walk-off KOs. But the flip side of that is we've seen Jalen Turner try and walk-off KO Renato Moicano, and the ref's like, no, it's not finished. Moicano recovers, and then Jalen Turner lost the fight.
Jack Hermansson was not going to recover.
You don't know. Well, no, we do know that probably. But in the heat of the moment, with the adrenaline running, with your second paycheck on the line as well, that's huge for these fighters. When we talk about stakes in these contexts, when we talk about podcasting and what's next and what's at stake and what's getting us as fans excited about it, it's usually like, are they going to be a number one contender? Do they get to fight this guy next? Are they moving into the top 5? Is it a title shot? Whatever it is, that's what we talk about as stakes. We're not massively interested in whether Gregory Rodriguez or Jack Hermansson gets their second paycheck. We're not. But I tell you who is massively interested in it: Jack Hermansson and Gregory Rodriguez and their families and their children and the people they support and all that stuff.
But their families and their children are also very, very worried about the health of these people.
Yes, but I don't think you're talking. You're not going to say, "Oh, I'd like my partner / father or mother or whatever it is to risk not getting a second paycheck because, oh, what if that person takes an extra strike?" Like, that's just not what fighters do. It's not what how they're built. It's just not the thing. I don't think you can blame the fighters necessarily. There's maybe situations where you go, that was unnecessary from that fighter. But ultimately, it is down to the ref to pull them off. And at first, when I watched it, I thought, oh, well, Herb's got his hands on his waist. Like, did Gregory Rodriguez not listen, or was it Greg's fault because Herb Deans was round his waist? And so I was going back and forth on a lot of this. And this is what Sean Sheehan effectively said. And shout out to him, because I think this is the right take on this. The fact that Herb Dean, when Gregory Rodriguez is about to throw that hammer fist, gets to Gregory Rodriguez and has his hands on his hips whilst Greg is throwing that hammer fist, and he doesn't throw him to the side or friggin' rugby tackle him or whatever it is, it's Herb Dean's fault. Because the fact that he gets to him and looks like he's about to do a conga with him, he's got his hands on his hip, and he's just like, I'm just here, I'm holding you, baby, I'm just behind you. And just, yeah, it's all right, just throw that hammer. No, grab him and launch him. And that's what Sean was talking about. And shout out to him. I think that is the right take, is when these refs come in and stop the fight, we've seen it before, maybe even from Herb Dean, where fighters have been launched to the side by the likes of a Mark Goddard, or Herb Dean has slid in to protect like Dustin Poirier, and it looked like he elbow dropped him like The Rock because he slid. Like, that's what the refs have to do. You have to put your body on the line slightly to throw someone off, and you almost need to be launching an attacking fighter away from their downed opponent with force, to the point where like maybe they are kind of thrown off balance or whatever it is, to protect the fighter. Because if you throw a fighter off and they just fall over a little bit, they're not injured, they're fine. But if you allow that strike to hit an opponent that's already knocked out, God, that's brain trauma, man. That's bad. So I think that's the right take. And obviously, I've shouted him out a few times. Sean Sheehan that said this, that made me go, that's the right thing. And I think it's good to credit other people, because I was back and forth. I was like, oh, was it Greg's fault? Was it Herb's fault? But no, I think it's Herb's fault in the end. Because you can't touch the guy and not just move him off. I know it's probably easier said than done. There'll be refs out there going, well, actually it's this and actually it's that and whatever else. But I think you've got to get in there with force when a guy goes down like that and just really pull him away or shove him off or whatever it is. And it didn't look like that was done enough. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that. It makes a lot of sense. Is there any other fights you want to chat about from the card?
Not only to give a shout out because it's right, Jose Miguel Delgado knocked out Haider Hamil in 25 seconds with a big knee. If you want to go and watch a very short fight, go and watch that prelim. Tracy Cortez, I wouldn't watch it because it wasn't the most exciting, but she does get a win over Viviana Araújo. Something that happened at the end there that I didn't like is it looked like Tracy Cortez could have shoved her off after the fight. And not even off, just shoved her when she was down. I didn't like that, and Araújo clearly didn't like that. Not a big fan of that from Tracy Cortez. And then Terence McKinney again, just as a proper get-got fighter. I don't think he's ever going to make necessarily like top 10 or anything like that. But he's a guy who's on the card. You go, oh, this fight is going to be basically one round. Whether he wins or loses, it's one round. And Terence McKinney gets the finish, got an anaconda choke of Slava Claus within the first round. So Terence McKinney, another guy that you're like, super fun fighter, not necessarily a super high ceiling, but a very fun fighter. When you see him on the card, it's like, this fight ain't lasting long and it's going to be fun.
Absolutely. Have we come to the end of today's episode?
I believe we might have come to the end of today's episode. Yeah, we're an hour. We've done it. That's UFC 317 in the bag. So looking forward to what Ilia Topuria does next. Looking forward to Josh Van Pantoja. Looking forward to whoever Brandon Royval fights next as well. I mean,
I think that's something you can really take from the weekend's card. The fact that the outcomes of all of these fights make for so many exciting matchups now moving forwards. You know, as Paddy literally struck gold here, this is, you know, for British fight fans, it doesn't get any better. Seeing him in that octagon, it's like, oh my God, this could happen. And I know you seem a lot more confident than me, but I hope it happens. And if so, then we will do our best to try and get Paddy back on the show to see if we can get his thoughts and take on it.
Can I just upset a few Australians and say I've never wanted Islam Makhachev to beat JDM more because I just really want that fight between him and Topuria to happen.
I've just, again,
sorry, Australia.
Show, I need to disassociate myself from another load of hate against Australia from Blake Harrison. I just don't know what the guy's problem is. I disassociate myself from it. I can only apologise, people. I'm sorry.
If Islam loses to JDM, then the Islam Topuria fight is nowhere near as good. He has to win to make it an amazing moment. Sorry, Australia. I really enjoyed my time in Australia. I know they don't like me anymore, but I really enjoyed my time there, guys. I love your country. And I really like JDM. I just really want Islam versus Topuria. Sorry.
See you next time, people.
Bye.